Hi, is this Scott?
Yes, sir. It's Scott and Brandon Ebel from the Tooth and Nail podcast. How you doing, man?
Hi, guys. Doing great. How are you?
Aaron, what's up, man?
Hi, Brandon.
So how does it feel? The record came out today. It's all crazy. It's all false. It's all a dream. It's all right.
Feels that way.
Yeah, just like that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly like that.
Right on. Well, where did the title come from?
Came from Baba Muhyiddin, my family's spiritual father. A little longer, the quote from him, but how long can an album title be, you know? So we edited it down a little bit.
So it came from him?
Yes.
Crazy.
So he's your family's spiritual father. What does that mean exactly?
I don't know.
He's a family friend, or he's like someone you've known your whole life?
Well, he was a teacher and a holy man who came to America before I was born and left the world many years ago. So I don't physically remember him, but there's tapes of him talking. And he used to tell people to believe in God and to love God and to follow the prophets and Jesus. And my parents met while listening to his teaching. And that's how my brother and I were born. And he gave us our names and, wrote the books, or he told the stories that my parents would read us as children, telling us we should believe in God and to treat other lives like our own life and to forgive people, that sort of thing. So it was all really simple, but very deep and very powerful teachings that have stuck with us, our whole lives.
So this was a line that obviously touched you?
Well, yeah, it was one that, again, I don't know if I fully understand the meaning of it or of him or his teachings, but sure, it's a powerful line.
Cool.
Cool. How was it working with Daniel Smith from Danielson Family?
Yeah, well, you know Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a goofball and definitely a very sweet brother and very creative and uninhibited, His music is so unconventional. It sort of freed us up to experiment more, particularly with the vocals. I would go off with him, and just the two of us would work on vocals, and while all the other guys were recording the songs, and it really helped me to have his encouragement.
How did you connect with Daniel?
He was first on our list. We'd seen him around. He's from New Jersey, and we're from Philadelphia, so we're sort of neighbors, but we didn't know him personally, but we really admired his music, so we tracked him down. I think Ricky contacted him on the internet or something really, impersonal like that. But
so you had never ever met him before you did the record?
Oh, we had met him. We played maybe one show together, and we've been at festivals together. But there's so many bands. You might meet someone, but you don't really connect. But yeah, like I said, we liked his art, and we thought he would be the perfect choice for a producer. And he was more than happy to do it. So we were super excited. And then Brian McTeer came on a little later as sort of a co-producer and engineer, and that made Daniel's job a lot easier because he was having he and his wife were having a baby at the time, so he had his hands full with that. So I don't think he could have managed all by himself.
So was he familiar with Me Without You? Had he ever heard your music before he produced the record, or was he literally like, "Oh, I've heard your name but never heard the music"?
No, he knew the music. I didn't get the impression he was a fan, but I think he liked the direction we were moving in. Of course, some of our older stuff is awfully heavy and doesn't sound much like what he would listen to.
Right.
But our previous record, had elements of what we're really zeroing in on with this record, and I think that's the direction that was more appropriate for his style.
So with Daniel Smith, in the studio, did you guys just get crazy overwhelmed, or was it, pretty easy working with him?
Oh, it was really easy working with him. I think everything. I mean, we all have our lives outside the studio, and in some ways, certain band members had personal things happening that would be more overwhelming. The band was almost taking a back seat during this time. The whole process of deciding to even record another record and writing the songs and then tracking and putting together the artwork, and every element of it happened really naturally. We didn't really try to force it. It wasn't one person really spearheading it and other people dragging their feet. It just sort of came together sort of effortlessly. But yeah, like I said, there were other aspects of our lives that were more dramatic and difficult, but the process of the record was almost effortless.
Wow, so it's almost like making the record was in some ways like an escape or the most like normal thing going on in everyone's life. Kind of like a place where everyone could kind of come and like decompress.
Well, it was really nice because we'd had I guess, sort of a rocky road for a while. Personally, some of the guys didn't see eye to eye as far as what's our goal as a band and what do we believe spiritually and our ethics as far as money and all kinds of things that, every band has to work out, of course. And we just sort of swept it under the rug and everybody did their own thing and tried to present something like a coherent unit or a whole. And usually I'm the one with the microphone, so I'm saying things at the show that doesn't necessarily reflect what the whole band believes. So there were a lot of tensions like that where I think in a lot of ways we had a disunity and a real lack of understanding for each other and a lack of love and respect for each other because of our differences. And all those have been just crumbling. All those differences and the walls we've had between us have been falling and just throwing them away and coming to realize, appreciate the ways in which we're different and to thank God for for the fact that that everyone's not like me. And to really come to love and accept each other exactly as we are, and then as a whole kind of work on moving forward and work on learning what it is to love God and to love each other and to forgive the people who've hurt us. All this stuff, we all know, and all of our differences were so subtle, but we made them really big,
Yeah.
And the things that were common between us and the things that made us one are so big and so significant and so obvious. But we kind of ignored those things. So everything's gotten so much better. I mean, in so many ways, I could go on and on, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Well, hey, Aaron, would you mind taking a second and talking about the production of the album? I know you guys used a ton of instruments in the recording, crazy stuff like flugelhorn, and is it called a bouzouki?
Right, bouzouki.
Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, well, because of the new songs, the way a lot of them were written was just with an acoustic guitar as a bass with a few chords and a very simple melody that was relatively repetitive, and there would be a bridge in there somewhere. So it was kind of a more standard songwriting structure, and it left a lot of room for additional instrumentation. And because we did it in Philadelphia, which is where all of us live, we had a lot of friends in the area that would be dropping by the studio just to see how's it going and how's everything sound. And then they would bring their instrument along and say, well, I'll try a little bit. And most of the time it stuck. We had one friend play bagpipes named Steven, and it didn't work, as far as the key of the bagpipes is kind of a funny thing. So it didn't end up going on the record. But I think everything else that we recorded ended up going on there somewhere. Many of the additional instrumentation is friends playing. Some of it is hired people that we never met before they came in the studio. Like someone came in with a cello or a bass trombone that I didn't know, but our composer, Joshua Stamper, he had all those connections that he'd worked with previously. So it was a mixture of those.
That's crazy. So it almost makes it like a communal album between the band and your friends.
Yeah, we originally planned to call it Me Without You and Friends, but we thought it might be too generic or a bit misleading because, as I said, several of the players weren't friends prior to playing. So it wasn't entirely that way. Like what I'd like to think or portray, there was just a big happy family and everybody knows each other. There was some strangers and it was business. We paid people to come and perform their craft, But there was also the element of the personal connections and the friendship.
So why the musical change from the heavier music? Was that more your vision and Daniel's vision, or was the whole band on board at first, or did you kind of come to the band and say, hey, this is kind of like what's been laid on my heart musically? I know that you guys, you had mentioned that you guys had some spiritual differences and some things going on internally in the band on a personal level, but when it comes to music, the record's also radically different. And it's awesome, by the way. We all love it. But, I mean, how did that process start? Was it kind of something you had planned, or was it you just got in the studio and you felt like from what you had, this is just what you wanted to do, or it just kind of came out that way? Or
that's probably your doing, Brandon. Back when we put out our first record, we signed with your label. We expected we'd be going on Solid State because our music was so heavy. And then we found out, no, it's going to be Tooth and Nail. We looked at the other bands on Tooth and Nail. I said, well, we're much heavier than all these bands, So maybe we're going to have to start lightening up our sound to fit in a little better. I'm not sure, but that sort of set the tone for our band being going in that direction. And generally us just getting older and wanting to make more of the kind of music that we actually like listening to. And also, some of the lyrical content being more, some of the songs sound like a children's story put to music, and we were hoping that our grandparents and our our children, if we ever have them, or anyone who listens, their children would be able to listen to the songs, no matter what their age, and enjoy them and not go to bed with nightmares.
Yeah. So basically, as you guys have gotten older and mature, you're making music that you like and continue to like, and what comes natural. And as you get older and more mature, it's just what's kind of coming out.
Sure. Nobody wants to hear the same record twice. And although we could do that, it would probably be easier to write, our first record all over again. It's just each song a few power chords and some distorted guitar and a whole lot of pain. But to be honest, there's not that kind of pain anymore. We've worked through a lot of those difficulties and those emotional the places of turmoil and all that suffering. It wouldn't be sincere, and in fact, sometimes it's hard to even perform those songs, given that I don't feel that hurt anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Awesome. You guys just shot a new music video. What song did you guys choose to do for the new video, and what's the concept of the video?
The song's called The Fox, the Crow, and the Cookie, and the concept is pretty direct storytelling. It follows the lyrics very closely, but it's presented in a puppeteering kind of way. We have a director named Amy Carrigan who came to, she had a lot of experience with shadow puppets and also 3D handheld puppets, and another director named David Bell who had more experience with set design and video direction. So the two of them working together, co-directing, best I can tell so far, did an unbelievable job. We were all so happy with the footage that we've seen so far. We just shot it last Saturday and Sunday. I mean, they were working around the clock. They called in all the favors they could, different friends, building puppets, designing the set, erecting the set, coming and helping with lighting. I mean, we had so many favors. For the budget we have, I think the video is going to be just wonderful. All right, tell us about the tour you have coming up. You're going on tour with Deer Hunter. How'd you choose that band? And tell us about the tour coming up in general. Yeah, a few of us went to Australia last year and played some acoustic songs on a tour called Soundwave, and the Deer Hunter was one of the bands in our little cohort on that festival tour. So we got to know a few of them, and they're very, very sweet. And so when we saw that they submitted for the tour, usually when we go on a tour, sometimes we'll take a friend, sometimes we'll pick from a list of bands that heard we were touring and submitted saying, yeah, they'd like to join us. So in this case, it was the latter. They were just one name on the list, and a few of the guys didn't know any of them, but Mike and I did know them. And so, we also got a personal email from them saying, hey, we'd really like to do this. We're not just, another band on the list that our booking agent submitted. We personally would, like you guys, and we like your music. And so that makes a difference, when it's not just our booking agent talking to your booking agent or our manager, that kind of thing. But it was more of a personal connection. And so, we're very excited. And then the same with the opening band is split up half and half. And the first half is a band called the Bear Colony. And Daniel Davison from Norma Jean. Yep. He manages the band, so he'll be coming out with, he's an old friend. And also, and the band, the second half is called KK and is Weathered Underground. And we all really like their music. So, yeah, it's shaping up to be an awesome tour. And most importantly, just on a personal level, all the guys in the band are really excited to be together and to play together, but most importantly, just as friends and as brothers to share that time. So super excited for this tour, probably more than any other tour you've ever done. What are all of you guys doing when you're not doing Me Without You? Well, I heard you might be going back to school, or yeah, actually, I've been in school this whole past year. I went back in the fall semester and took a few classes, and then a few more this spring. So I just finished last week, and also Ricky and Greg took classes this past semester. Mikey's married. He has some more financial responsibilities. He's been working as a substitute teacher, and all of us have, of course, we have our families here and other commitments, and we have other lives. So when we come home, we don't always, because we spend so much time together on the road, we don't always spend that much time together at home. But I could probably only tell you the surface level of what the other guys are doing, like school and work. Where are you going to school? It's called University of Pennsylvania. Oh, wow.
Could you go into how you were kind of discovered by Tooth and Nail? Because I've heard a few rumors actually, but I don't know the true full story.
Yeah, we were playing at a festival called Cornerstone. You familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bands playing there, so everyone's trying to get noticed. And, there's so many bands passing out flyers like, "Come see us, listen to us," and, trying to stand out from the crowd. And we were just one of those bands, and not very good. But we all wore suits, and we had that was our gimmick, playing really heavy music in suits, But it just so happened that when we were playing our little show on a tiny generator stage, which is powered literally by a power generator, so it's not even a part of the legitimate festival, just a little makeshift, 1 foot high plywood stage that's set up on the side of a dirt road. At the moment that we started playing, right around that moment, the power went out on the entire festival. So all the real shows that were happening were no longer happening. So a lot of people were just sort of wandering around with no music to hear, but then there's us, somewhat playing our songs, and more like making a spectacle of ourselves. And so we had a decent-sized crowd, and someone from Tooth and Nail came walking by and said, "Oh," his name was Adam McKinnon. And he heard...
Correct, yeah.
He heard the music and said, "Oh, this is pretty good. It reminds me of, I think, Drive Like Jehu was the band he was into that he compared us to." And that's just what we were going for at the time. And he was a really cool guy. He got a fellow named Greg Patterson to come watch it. The next day we were playing a similar show. And Greg ended up working the whole thing out and talking to Brandon. Isn't that right, Brandon? It was Greg who kind of came to you.
You got it. You nailed it. Yeah, I was Scott. I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but yeah, it was Adam. Adam and Greg both came up to me and said, the band Operation that's on Take Hold Records, they have a couple of the guys have like a side band, and it's totally awesome. And so they had seen, they'd seen your show or whatever, and we basically started going down the road, and we were blown away. So specifically by you, Aaron, and were you the drummer of the Operation?
Yeah.
So you were the drummer. Yeah, they're like, the drummer of the Operation is this other band. And, and I thought the Operation was a pretty good band too, but we weren't totally into it, and
yeah.
But they're a good band, nonetheless. But we were just totally into Me Without You, and so excited. It was kind of weird because it was like a side band of a band that was playing a little generator show, and I don't know how much you guys were touring yet at the time or not, but it definitely stood out even then, and of course still does now, as being something very unique and original, and your lyrics specifically are just amazing. And so yeah, we were honored to have the opportunity to put out all 4 records, and it's been awesome. So
one final
I love it.
question.
We keep piling on the question.
This one's easy though for you, Aaron. Out of the whole Tooth and Nail Records catalog, can you come up with a song to end this podcast with that you would like to hear?
Yeah, well,
Do you know any bands on the label besides Me Without You? I guess he could end with his own song. You could end with a Me Without You song, or a Danielson song, or...
Sure. I was going to say There Is No Dana Here by 238.
238, though, that's pretty cool.
Great. Well, Aaron, thanks again so much, man. We appreciate your time. It's been awesome.
Thank you. You guys, you guys are definitely a blessing for me, and thank you again for your patience in getting a hold of me, and for all your wonderful questions, and for all of your help over the years. It's been a wonderful grace for us.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you on the 26th.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, man. See ya.
God bless.
Okay, bye-bye.